Welcome, my friends. Finally another video, and it's a tools of the trade with a try and fly session in it, and that we're going to do today because I'm going to introduce a new tool I've got myself, which is called PILOT2ATC. Now, in simulation we have several options for having ATC. We have actually two main options. One is that we join one of them online networks like VATSIM and Deveo, or Pilot Edge in the US, which is a pay sort of service. And there you have real people basically giving you ATC. In the case of Pilot Edge, they're actually professional air traffic controllers providing this service. And then we have the possibility to use programs which simulate, they fake kind of ATC. So it's the simulator with the simulator, the flight simulator with the ATC simulator. And classically, we had a couple of options. One of the programs is PFE, which is quite an old one. PFE now in version 3 exists and is made for FSX, for the FSX world, prepared world. Problem is it would not work immediately with Explain 11, although there is a plugin that you can get. And with this payware plugin that you can get, you could actually connect PFE with Explain. The other one is Radar Contact, also an age-old program. And the same problem actually is with real ATC as with PFE, and that is you cannot use it directly with Explain. But again, from the same company that has a plugin for PFE, you also get a plugin for real ATC, for Radar Contact. Now the problem is that I didn't really want to use these programs anymore because I have to reactivate them now because I've done a lot of new setting up. These are very old programs, and there is always some issues with the activation. And once you have the activation, then you need this plugin. The plugins need to be activated as well, and I got some issues there as well. I'm pretty sure I can get over these, but none of these programs really have convinced me entirely, and they're completely button based, so you have to program buttons, and you have to use those buttons to do interaction with ATC, you know, like respond and request things. There's one other program in the FSX prepared world that does not apply to Explain, and that is what's it called? ProATCX. ProATCX is, it is probably the most modern version of an ATC program. It does not stem back 10 or 12 years, having started like with the Flight Simulator 2000 or something like that. So it is relatively okay. It has been updated not too long ago, although it looked like they wouldn't do anything anymore on it, but they are actually still maintaining it, albeit quite slow. But anyway, it does work, and it's actually not completely unlike the tool I'm going to show you today, which is PILOT2ATC. But still, there's a completely different philosophy between or with PILOT2ATC, which is not the same as with any of the other programs I just mentioned. And that is PILOT2ATC has voice recognition, and it actually expects you as the pilot to talk to ATC and use the correct phraseology, or the correct words, the correct sentences. And that is far more realistic as it would be with any of the other tools that I have just mentioned. And because it looked quite interesting, I finally decided, now that I have a little bit of time here around New Year and Christmas, I decided that I will finally invest in this tool, which is not exactly cheap. It's almost $60, so 50 something euros. It's not the cheapest tool you can buy, but it seems to offer a lot of things, and we're going to explore them here. Now, PILOT2ATC is a software that has a lot of options and a lot of switches that you can kind of modify. I'm not going to go through all the options. I'm not going to discuss all the settings and the various variations of things, and is no point because we would be sitting here for another hour at least. Captain K-Man, I think, did a video which is 3 hours and something long. It is a good one. I actually watched it from start to end because he was explaining a lot about the tool. But I don't want to do the same thing. It's enough if Captain K-Man has done the work and has offered this good video. I'm just going to use it, and I'm only going to use it on X-Plane 11. I do not intend to use it in the prepared world. There I'm going to stick with Pro-ATCX. Okay, so PILOT2ATC is this external program. It's not a plugin. You do not need to install any plugins. You can use your Navigraph or NavData Pro Arax from Navigraph and Aerosoft to update the data. That's possible. And it has quite a few options to create your flight plan, and it has quite a few options and settings, configurations for the program itself. I'm not, as I say, I'm not going to go through all this here. You can set certain values for how it should do navigation, when it should start to nag at you because you are not on the right altitude, not on the right heading, stuff like that. You can also set the unit type. If you're in Europe, you would have metric and feet. If you're in the US, you would have a different system here. So there's a drop down. There's a US, a metric, feet, and a metric. Yeah, then you can also set some options for ATIS. Then there's a lot of sound options, and especially you can use the XATC Chatter, which is a payware plugin that I have and use a lot. That just has kind of ATC sound bites, WAV files stored somewhere. And it is able to provide the kind of ATC chatter, background chatter, which you hear in some of my videos. And exactly those sound files and that structure of sound files works also with PILOT2ATC. You just have to decide what region. In my case, it's Europe. In your case, it might be the US that you choose to put there. And then you have sound files for clearance delivery, ground, tower, and the whole lot. And there is a way to do this here. Please read the manual. I'm not going to go through this in this video. Then you can select voices. Now, that is the only little limitation that I've found so far. And that is that basically it uses the Microsoft Windows voices. And depending on your system, I actually found Microsoft Zira and Microsoft David. They are the two English voices. And then I also found Hedda, which is free when you have a German operating system. But Hedda doesn't really work very well. Hedda sounds a bit strange when you play her.
This is Microsoft Hedda Desktop. It will be your co-pilot for the flight.
Exactly. So I have Hedda as my pilot, but I have actually a co-pilot, but I have turned it off because I'm not using the co-pilot functionality. I'm responding myself, but you will see this in a moment. Then there are some speech options in general. For example, you can select what speaker you want to have it in. I have it on my earphones, which are connected to my microphone. And you can also set some hotkeys for this. There are airborne traffic alerts, so you can actually check AI traffic and get traffic alerts. I turned this off because this is the kind of not very useful. To me, it wasn't that useful because you would continuously get messages about AI aircraft in your vicinity, and you continuously have to answer them. So I turned them off for the moment because I didn't really like it. Flight plan options, sits and stars and stuff, where to put it, where to read them from, and so on. Then there's some weather options. So basically it can go and read the sim weather. It can use the NOAA real weather directly gets it from there. If you're on the FSX world, you have Active Sky Weather. Possibly it also works with the new Active Sky for XP. Opus Weather, FS Global Real WX, that's the one that I use. But for this test, I'm using the internal simulator weather. And also Rex. That's for the FSX prepared word. And then you can create buttons like the PTT joystick button. You need to define at least that. And I also have a PTT push-to-talk key code, which is the same as for my VO and VATSIM, so that I don't have to think about what button to press or what key to press. But then there are some more keys for certain options and so on. I haven't really programmed any of them apart from the push-to-talk, because that's sort of the important one. So that's just a very, very quick browse through options. There are some more things. One of the other things that is quite important is the grammar help and the possibility to practice, especially if you're not American and you do not have an American English sort of accent. That means you come from Europe. It takes a little bit longer for the recognition, for the Windows speech recognition, to kind of get familiar with your pronunciation. So here in this area, you can actually train, you can practice sentences. And the thing is, you need to be actually very precise. You cannot just talk away and give some sentences to ATC. It will not, chances are it will not recognize what you're saying. So you have to really follow phraseology, and you have to be relatively precise to do so. All right. So that's why you can train this here. There's practice mode, and yeah. So I did this. So I went through a lot of training. I went through the different stages here. You see Unicom, ground, clearance, pre-delivery tower, for example. And then you can request. And then here look at all these requests. So this is a huge number of requests, info, and so on items that you can talk with ATC about. If you use the correct sentences, in many cases there are options, so there are more than one way of saying the same thing, and it will present you with these options. Yeah, I'm actually quite impressed by what I've seen so far, and my first little tests that I did worked out really well. I was positively surprised how easy and how well it went. So in order to use this program, you basically have a map and this flight plan area. And there you can import, you can load flight plans, you can import flight plans. For example, you can import flight plans from some file, or you can also import a flight plan from, so if you say FP import, another window opens, you can cut and paste a route description from something like SimBrief, Flight Plan Database, FlightAware, PFPX, Online Flight Plan, and the Real World Flight Plan DB. These are all services or programs that would produce a string with your flight route, and you can paste it in here, and it will analyze it and pick out the waypoints, will create the flight plan based on what you have pasted in there. Okay, so all of that is possible. You can also create a flight plan from scratch, and that's exactly what I'm going to do now, because I'm intending to do a try and fly like very short flight, which goes from WC Airport Echo Delta Lima Victor to, again, back to Echo Delta Lima Victor. So what I'm doing is I'm saying a new waypoint, and then I say plus down here, and I say Echo Delta Lima Victor, because the first thing we need to have is the departure airport. You could also find this center on map. Yeah, so you could also find this on a map. I'm not sure that it actually centered it on the map. This is actually an option window, so I center it on map. Yeah, there it is. Oh, actually, indeed it is. There you can see it. All right. This program is also able to analyze your X-plane or FSX prepared scenery, by the way. So this is another option that you can use to increase the accuracy of the ATC by providing taxi routes and parking positions and so on and so forth, and also for frequencies and the like. It can read this from your X-plane or FSX scenery configuration, plus including the Navigraph data that it also has. So we have got our airport from which we've started, and I will add one other waypoint, and that's called SONEP. You can use your keyboard or you can enter it here with the mouse. SONEP, enter. And if you remember my try and fly, so SONEP is not that far. SONEP is actually here, okay? But that's not a departure route. And the last thing I'm going to do so that we have a kind of complete flight plan is I put back in Echo Delta Lima Victor. Right, so now we have a route, but we're still missing SIDs and stars. So what I can do now is I can press here and I can say plus a SID, and I can also select the runway. So I open this dialog and it says Niederrhein and so on. It has actually given me runway 27 as the option. I can select the departure, which is the Zone 3 Sierra departure. I could also select it, by the way. When I do this, I could also click here. It would do the same thing. So it would select Lima Victor 200, 210, 201, 204 SONEP. And if you watch my try and fly videos, you know that is my standard route I use for almost everything. You can make sure that it uses the runway that is selected here. Otherwise, it might change if the weather and the winds change. All right. So if that's fine, then you say load, and presto, we have our departure route here. Okay, it cannot create a top of descent, and that is because we do not have a really complete route. You can actually select an altitude. Now, the thing is, 5,000 feet is too low. So the minimum altitude that you can use is flight level 60 or 6,000 feet in this case. Because I'm going to fly with a Boeing, I put in the 1800, which is, I think, sort of a standard rate of descent and climb. The ground speed will be about 250 because we stay below 10,000, and the distance is about 74 right now. It will increase a little bit. And then comes the ETE, about 18 minutes at the moment. Now, I'm going to the arrival airport and I'm saying plus star. Then it takes a wee moment and it shows you the available stars for runway 27. It's going to be SOP2 1 Whiskey. I selected here SOP2 and LAA. We're going to modify this. So, yeah, that's fine. I say load. And the final thing that we do is, and I'm getting this strange error. I didn't get this before. Don't know what I'm doing wrong at the moment. We're going to runway 27, ILS runway 27. And I can select a transition. And I can do this by using vectors to remat, because I don't want to fly to the airport. And there you go. Now it can also calculate the top of descent. Okay. Now, I don't really like what we have here, and that is that we have to fly to LAA and then come back out in order to do the approach. I'm going to delete LAA from this. And then I'm going to say validate so that it recalculates the route. And here we have it now, my usual try and fly route. And the top of descent is shortly after SOP2. And it is based on a 3,000 feet at remat. Okay. Now you can actually change this. So for example, I I usually fly at 2,600 because my experience is if we're not going to go to the airport and back, when we intercept the ILS at Rimat, we need to be below 3,000 because otherwise we might end up above the glide slope, which is bad for intercepting it. So I can change this here so that ATC knows that I want to go to 2,600 feet. And there we've got it now. Okay. So I've got this validated. Can check that again. So it's green. And then I say file, which is filing it with ATC. And I thought that's supposed to get green. I have to connect first. Sorry, yeah. I have X-Plane running in the background, so I'm going to press the connect button here now. And we are Hapag-Lloyd 999.
Rhine information Romeo, 1812 Zulu.
We've been automatically
put
on ATIS here. So we're getting the X-Plane ATIS. Sorry, ATIS. Okay, now I can validate and file.
Temperature 6, dew point 2. Current QNH is 1030.
And now it's green, so we're basically ready now to...
Niederrhein information Romeo, 1812
and now
Zulu.
it has switched also
Local
to the other sound device. I have it now
Weather at
on my
focal
earphones.
is winds are 309er at 8 knots.
You might not have realized that, but it has changed actually the sound device.
5,200 few clouds.
So we're connected.
Temperature 6,
we are Hapag-Lloyd 999.
Current
And we've
QNH
got
is 1030.
Now,
Arriving
you
and
can
departing runway 27.
run this program on a different screen if you have.
Information
If you have
Romeo,
one screen only, it is a little
Zulu.
bit difficult because
Local weather not
especially at the
available.
beginning,
Weather at
you
focal
will
is
need
winds are
some information.
309er
So
at
what
8
happens
knots.
is you see this button here.
Visibility
It
unrestricted.
will make your
5,200
screen
few clouds.
large or small. This is kind of
Temperature 6,
an overlay
dew point
thingy.
2.
And
Current
I can move
QNH
this
is
to my other screen, which is
1030.
good.
Arriving
Because
and
I
departing
actually
runway
need
27.
I need this
Niederrhein
information here.
Romeo,
Okay.
1812
Because here in
Zulu.
this window it will also
Local
show
weather
you
not
what you
available.
should say to
Weather at
ATC.
focal is winds are
And at
309er
the
at 8
beginning, while
knots.
let
Visibility
me quickly-
unrestricted. 5,200 few clouds.
Let's go to tower 129.4. Right. Where was I? Oh yeah, because you will need this at the beginning definitely in order to learn what you have to say and so on. And in this area you can actually also look for phrases. So you can go to question mark and then for example we are now connected to the tower and I could actually look for clearance. Okay, so what it says here is in order to get your clearance from ATC, you would have to say something like Hapag-Lloyd 999 ready to copy IFR clearance or ready to copy or something like that. Okay, so this is the ATC chatter I talked about, which is playing. I've slowed it down a bit so that there's not that much of it, but it kind of increases the immersion sort of factor of this, and that's why I leave it on. Right, so I'm moving this up for the moment because we're now going to open up the simulator, which I got here. It's the Zibo. By the way, this is the Zibo mod 3.31 Zulu 2 now. The 3.31 Zulu, I got a lot of issues, a lot of strange issues. It's not as stable as the 29 Echo was that I used for a long time. Not that happy. And the problem is that the next version, the 3.32, is for X-Plane 1130 only. You cannot use it with my version. I'm on 1126 now. So that is not good. I'm hoping that we're not facing too many of the issues I had before. But yeah, my hope is that Zulu 2 has actually improved at least the basic things, the main things. We shall see. I hope we'll be okay. So, right. I'm just normal at the airport here now. Okay, I haven't got any any services and so on. So what we're going to do is now a relatively quick setup, and they have actually messed up all my views again with this latest update, so I'm having to program my views again and again every time I update the Zibo, which is a bit of a pain. Okay, yeah, I tried this out. You know that the new Zibos have actually yeah, this is it's not very practical because you have to push it up here and hope that it doesn't get stuck on your mouse. Okay, so that's it. I'm on the first officer's position anyway. Right, so first thing we do is we make sure that we have power. Yeah, we do. And that we have the alignment. I have started sort of in a turnaround state. So we are in a turnaround state. We can turn on the belts and yeah, we could open the doors and all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to bother with this at the moment. So as long as we are aligned, next thing I'm going to do now is to program the FMC. And we've got the latest ERAC. Yeah, it's not quite the latest ERAC. I just realized it's 1811, so we actually need 1813. Nah, doesn't matter. It'll be fine. We are on Echo Delta Lima Victor, and the route is going to go from Echo Delta Lima Victor to Echo Delta Lima Victor. I'm basically now very quickly putting in the exact same route. This is kind of a routine thing I'm doing quite often. So arrival, it's the ILS-27 via the SOP 21 Whiskey, and yeah, I'm not going to use a transition. Alright, so that's the route, and I'm going to activate it, execute, and I go to legs, and we're going to repair or fix that there, and we're going to put remat here, and I'm also going to put in 2600 already now and do an execute. So back to route, we can go to, this is Hapag-Lloyd 909er, performance in it. So well, we have we have 10 tons of fuel. It's a little bit too much for what we are doing, but it doesn't matter. So I'm going cross index 35, and our altitude will be 5000. No, sorry, we had to file for flight level 60, 6000. So execute, and one limit. Temperature is good question. What kind of temperature do we have? Let's quickly check. Going here to the instructor station, checking out the Atmosphärenbedingungen, which is temperature. Fahrenheit. Things have changed again. So we've got 15 degrees and we have 1013 millibar. Okay, so this is 15. No, hang on, that was one too much. That's 15. You cannot enter both temperatures immediately, and I'm going to enter a reduction to 97% with 35 degrees. I'm not doing this scientifically. We're going to have a flaps 1 takeoff 4.7, so that means 132, 133, 145, and we are done. So we're quickly setting up the speed here, 272, 272, and initial altitude is, well, actually we need to find out because we haven't got our clearance yet. And normally I would probably first contact the clearance delivery and then I would do all this setup, and why not do this right now? So I've got a I've got my microphone, and I've got my a button on my yoke which is assigned, and I'm going to use this to contact, or also on the keyboard, yeah, I'm going to use this to contact PILOT2ATC. Hapag-Lloyd, yet. First, I have to allow it to do so. Okay, that's my Kaspersky. Again. Hapag-Lloyd 999 ready to copy IFR clearance. No. So it has not detected it. because nothing happened here. Hapag-Lloyd 999er, ready to copy IFR clearance.
Hey Pagloid 9er is cleared to Echo Delta Lima Victor, fly the SONE3S departure, with the SONAP transition, then as filed. Expect departure runway 27. Climb to 4,000 feet via the departure. Expect higher clearances 2 minutes after departure. Squawk 4106.
Hapag-Lloyd 999er is cleared to Echo Delta Lima Victor. Fly the SONE3S departure with the SONAP transition, then as filed. Climb to 4,000 feet via the departure. Expect higher clearances 2 minutes after departure. Squawk 4106.
Read back incorrect. Hey Pagloid 9er cleared to Echo Delta Lima Victor.
Cleared to Echo Delta Lima Victor, Hapag-Lloyd 999er. No. Hapag-Lloyd 999er cleared to Echo Delta Lima Victor. So I guess now it's cleared to Echo Delta Lima Victor. What did I do wrong? Ah, there's a golf somehow there. Hapag-Lloyd 999er is cleared to Echo Delta Lima Victor. Fly the Sierra Oscar November Echo 3 Sierra departure with the SONAP transition, then as filed. Climb to 4,000 feet via the departure. Expect higher clearances 2 minutes after departure. Squawk 4106. Wrong key. I pressed the freaking wrong key. Hapag-Lloyd 999er is cleared to Echo Delta Lima Victor.
Read back incorrect. Hey Pagloid 9er squawk 4106.
Hapag-Lloyd 999er squawk 4106.
Hey Pagloid 9er read back correct.
Das war that was
QNH is 1030, let us know when you are ready for pushback.
QNH is 1030. Okay. Yeah. Because this is white, I do not have to answer back. So yeah, I've kind of missed that it was looking for the squawk 4106, and what did I say? 4106. Well, don't ask me why it thought I did it wrong. It looks like it was correct. Anyway, let's put in the squawk code immediately. 4106. Okay, it's in. And we're initially cleared to 4,000 feet, so I'm putting this in. And yo. Now I'm going to put this out again. Where did the simulator go? Why did it? I thought we have crashed, but we haven't. Okay, so 4106 is set. We've got the 4,000 initially. The rest we have already programmed correctly. So we are basically ready for push. So again, what I can do is I can go here and go for the request. What's that now? 999 clear take Delta Lima Victor. Okay. So I'm not sure what's going on now because I think we are stuck. It doesn't look too good. Oh yeah, we seem to be stuck. I had this before. The program then gets stuck and waits for a long time before I can again do input. That's not good. Yeah, but what I can try is Hapag-Lloyd 999 request pushback and engine start.
Hey Pagloid 999 pushback and engine start approved.
Pushback and engine start approved, Hapag-Lloyd 999. Okay, that has worked. That means we can call for better pushback. I hope it's working today.
Boden an Brücke. Bitte zeigen Sie mir zuerst, wo Sie hinwollen.
Okay.
Boden an Brücke. Der Schlepper bringt sich in Position.
So, in the meantime, yeah, so fuel pumps are started. We need to actually start the APU. I just realized. I haven't done that yet. Then we're going to turn off the packs. This is in auto mode. And we can already put in our cruise altitude here and our aeroport. So then we're putting the anti-collision light on so that we indicate. Let's see, does it do?
Boden an Brücke. Alle Türen und Luken sind verschlossen. Wir sind bereit, den Schlepper zu verbinden.
It's not asking for the parking brake. That's a good sign, because I had some issues with this Zulu version of the Zibo. Right, so the APU is available. I'm going to activate it, and I'm also going to disconnect the GPU. I'm also going to turn on the flight directors.
Schlepper ist verbunden. Der Bypass-Pin ist gesetzt. Bitte lösen Sie die Parkbremse.
Parking brake is
Wir beginnen mit dem Pushback. Die Triebwerke sind frei zum Anlassen.
okay. So let's start with number 2. Start a cutter. Start number 1.
National 4530, runway 2406, spike for departure, clear for takeoff, wind 270 degrees, 11 knots, just 23. Clear for takeoff, 24, spike for
Also number 1 is lighting up nicely. That's good.
Der Push-Vorgang ist abgeschlossen. Bitte setzen Sie die Parkbremse.
Parking brake is set.
Schlepper wird getrennt. Einen kleinen Moment bitte.
Thank you. Start a cutout. And turn the APU off. Then we're putting the into RTO and we're going to set flaps 1.
Kilo 45 Juliet, runway 2406, clear for takeoff, the wind 270 degrees, 9 knots, just 23. Clear for takeoff, 24 and
Der Schlepper wurde entfernt, der Bypass-Pin ist gezogen. Freizeichen gibt es von der rechten Seite. Einen angenehmen Flug. Tschüss.
Danke, tschüss. Bis zum nächsten Mal.
Sierra 5, yeah.
Yankee 737 right from where going to control far behind. Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay, so we are ready basically for taxi now, but before we can do that, we need to ask for the taxi clearance. So now, for some strange reason, I cannot use this anymore. I'm not sure why that is. Okay, we seem to have some little buggies there, here and there, but what I can do is I know that I can request taxi or ready for taxi or something like that. I'll find the right one. PILOT2ATC, request taxi.
Hey PILOT2ATC, taxi to runway 27 via taxiways Sierra, Delta, hold short runway 27.
Taxi to runway 27 via taxiway Sierra, Delta, hold short runway 27, PILOT2ATC. Okay, that was green, so that worked out. So Sierra and Delta, if we... yeah, I know where that is. We just go right here at the main taxiway and then Delta. So, yeah, parking brake is off. Let's turn on the taxi light. And let's move to the runway.
Advance 361, can you make it routing departure? Advance 361, keep it routing 24 6, clear takeoff, wind 260 at 13, gusting 23. Easy check for Charlie Quebec, 206, clear takeoff, 260 at 13, gusting 23. Clear takeoff, 24, back 5.
So this is Sierra now, and Delta is the last entry or exit, right at the beginning of runway 27.
Roger, KLM 757, runway 2406, clear takeoff, wind 260 at 13, gusting 23. Clear takeoff, 2406, KLM 757.
And because we're already with tower, because Weze doesn't have a lot of frequency, so there's no clearance, there's no ground, it's actually only the tower. We're going to stay with tower now until we reach the runway, and there we can request the takeoff then. Normally you would probably get your clearance at large airports. You would get your clearance from clearance delivery, then you would switch to ground where you get your taxi clearance and all that, and on the way ground will pass you on to the tower frequency, where you will then can ask then for takeoff, and tower will accompany you during the takeoff and then will pass you on to the approach or departure for that airport, and so on. That works pretty much that way, just that Weze doesn't have all that frequency multitude, so we only have a tower, and we're going to have sort of a departure frequency, and that's it. I have set an option that my co-pilot is automatically putting the frequencies in, which is a bit of a help, because otherwise I would have to bend down
hey,
while flying.
PILOT2ATC, advise when ready for departure.
Wilco, PILOT2ATC. Wilco, PILOT2ATC. Okay, it didn't get that quite. It got no way call. So you have to really watch, and it will get better. I think it learns with every time. Okay, but there can be some weird sentences it detects at the beginning. So, yeah, let's get basically ready. So we've got the flaps, we've got everything. I'm going to set the parking brake for the moment and turn off the taxi lights. And yeah, so I think we are ready. Everything is good.
Give me your oceanic details, your elapsed time to let us know, requested flight level, maximum flight level you can accept, and
Hapag-Lloyd 999 ready for departure.
the request.
Hey Pagloid 9er winds are 309er at 8 knots cleared for takeoff. Runway 27 squawk 4106.
Cleared for takeoff, runway 27, squawking 4106, Hapag-Lloyd 999.
Hey Pagloid 9er you are cleared for takeoff on runway 27.
Cleared for takeoff, runway 27, Hapag-Lloyd 999. Okay, that was too fast. Cleared for takeoff, runway 27, Hapag-Lloyd 999. Now I got it. Okay, so let's do that. We turn on the lights and the strobes, and we're putting the transponder into TARA mode. Parking brake released. Clear on the right. Clear on the left.
Departure 12750, bye-bye. 12750, Portugal, 44
I got these views all programmed to buttons on my joystick, because it's much easier from views like this to taxi. So it's hard to really judge where you are in relation to the runway and all that, depending on your view in the cockpit. That's good enough. Okay. Right. So we're going to arm the auto throttle. I'm going to activate VNAV. No, actually, what we're going to do is we are going to use LNAV. Our LNAV doesn't work yet. Why is that? Okay, so I'm using heading select. You see, things change from version to version and it behaves slightly different. So I'm going to use N1 because I had some issues before during takeoff, so I'm going to use the N1 because that worked alright. Takeoff power set. LNAV is too early. LNAV now works. Reach, then we can, and now I'm using Command B. The autopilot takes over. And we're bringing in the flap. Right. So
Pagloid 9er climb and maintain flight level 060. Hey Pagloid 9er contact Amsterdam Center on 119.17. Have a good morning.
Climb and maintain flight level 060, Hapag-Lloyd 9er. Center on 119.17, Hapag-Lloyd 9er.
Aircraft calling tower, say again with your call sign.
Center on 119.17. Hapag-Lloyd 999er. Hapag-Lloyd 999er at flight level 060.
Hey Pagloid 9er climb and maintain flight level 060.
Climb and maintain flight level 060, Hapag-Lloyd 999er.
Hey Pagloid 9er ASPERDE and winds are 309er at 8 knots.
Okay, so that was just information. So we're now at 6,000 and we have gone over the transition altitude, so it's set standard. So flaps are in, gears are in, everything is fine. So we're staying on this altitude. By the way, I had played around a little bit with snow textures, and I thought I used JSGME to use this snowy texture thingy, and what happened is it has overwritten my standard textures and it did not restore them. So something went wrong when I restored it. So not good. I have now winter textures everywhere. What I need to do now is I need to figure out how I can reverse this back to normal. That wasn't very good. That's why everything is so white there in the back, because my ortho only goes, there's only 2 tiles here around the Düsseldorf and the Weze area. So I've kind of messed up my standard textures. Not good. Ah well. And I made a backup of X-Plane, which means that my old backup does not contain the textures anymore. That's how things go. Ah well. I can live with that, but yeah, I need to figure out why that is. So now we are with Amsterdam Center, or something like that. I have reduced the frequency, or the number of messages that come in the background, because it was quite a lot at the beginning, because the time settings were very short, and that was a bit too much. So I have increased this to about 40 to 60 seconds. So we only get about 1 message a minute or so, roughly. So I hope that Zibo, after the Z2 patch, at least doesn't give me all that trouble with the VNAV, because VNAV was kicking out, autothrottle was kicking out all the time. So yeah, and you had to watch this aircraft every minute. So now we're turning left towards Sonep, which is correct.
Hey Pagloid 9er contact Langen Radar Center on 118.75. Have a good morning.
Langen Center on 118.75. Hapag-Lloyd 999er. And you see they immediately change the frequency. So this is my virtual co-pilot doing this, which is very practical, so I don't have to worry setting the frequencies here. Hapag-Lloyd 999er at flight level 060. Hapag-Lloyd 999er at flight level 060.
Niner, good morning. Radar contact.
So you have to repeat things a bit, and as I say, it is actually learning, so at least as far as I understand, the more you use it, the better it gets, because it actually gets used to what you're saying, and it kind of stores things. And I'm not sure if that's the Windows speech recognition or if this is PILOT2ATC, but it's supposed to get better, also with not native English speakers like me. Now, if you want to use this program, you need to have the English regional settings, or US English, I think, or something like that. You have to read in the manuals. I do have this anyway because I installed all my simulator PCs are installed with US English operating systems, and I'm used to not having a German operating system. It is possible since Windows 8 Home Edition that you can change your regional setting or your language basically. Yeah, it's just that if you do that, all your Windows menus and commands and stuff like that will be in English. It will change from German to English, so just be aware of that.
Hapag-Lloyd 999er expect the SOBT-1 Whiskey arrival with the SOB2 transition for the ILS approach to runway 27 with the LA2 transition at Niederrhein cleared direct SOB2.
Expect the SOBT-1 Whiskey arrival with the SOB2 transition for the ILS approach to runway 27 with the Lima Alpha Alpha 2 transition. Cleared direct SOB2 Hapag-Lloyd 999er.
Hapag-Lloyd 999er, your flight plan seems to be out of date. Please file a new one and call back for clearance. Say again your request.
Yeah, I got it wrong. Expect the SOBT-1 Whiskey arrival with the SOB2 transition for the ILS approach to runway 27 with the LAA2 transition. Cleared direct SOB2 Hapag-Lloyd 999er. No, that is all over the place. That's actually quite bad. So why are we not turned? We are turned. Oh, whew. Yeah, you can see the winter textures here. I'm flying now towards SOB2. So this is not perfect, okay, so it kind of, this is what it read here. Expect the SOB2 1 Whiskey arrival with the SOB2 transition. 40-mile ILS, hold short of runway and 27. I didn't say all that, yeah, and I didn't say Stadtlohn, I didn't say all that direct stuff. So, yeah, I guess I have to learn how to optimize what I'm saying and the way I'm saying it. These are the snowy textures or something like that. So there's an option. It's not the winter mod. It's actually the snowy textures, and that's why it got messed up, I suppose, because the winter mod I had under control nicely, but this is a new set of winter textures that replace the basic area textures that come with the default scenery. And yeah, it's not perfect, and unfortunately now it's broken. So I need to recover my old green textures for summer, because it doesn't automatically switch this. So this is ortho, as you can see. So I can't remember now if it would clear me for descent or yeah. So we have to wait now for instructions, and I'm expecting those to come somewhere around SOB2, I guess. Yeah, so the program got a little bit out of sync here, you know. Now the map is gone, I can't bring the map back, so there are still some small issues with it, I have to say. Yeah. I'm not sure if it hides somewhere else. No, it doesn't, so I can't see the map now, because on the map it showed actually the top of descent, which I think was in and around SOP 2, but I think it was after SOP 2, whereas this here would have me start the descent already before SOP 2. So I'm just going to wait now for ATC to give me instructions. In the meantime, we make sure that we have the right frequencies, 110.70 and 115.5. That's fine. That's what it needs to be. 272, 272. Fine.
Condor 212 graded, like perfect point up better. Next is 48 north, 20 west. Condor 212. Thank you.
13 Tango, continue flying to flight level 370.
Continue flying, flight level 370, Shamrock 13 Tango.
So I wonder if I can request lower altitude. Let's try. Hapag Lloyd 999 request lower altitude 2,600 feet.
Hapag Lloyd 999 radar contact.
Austrian 89er, flight level 330.
Okay, that didn't exactly work. Well, let's see when it gives me the instructions for descending. My FFC will start complaining in a moment. I have to say though that the other ATC programs didn't really work very well on this route. It was too close, so they didn't get it right with all the approaches and stuff. So far, PILOT2ATC fared quite well.
Hapag Lloyd 999 descent via the SOBT-1W arrival with the SOB to transition to flight level 060 QNH is 1030 at Niederrhein.
Descent via the SOB to 1 Whiskey arrival with the SOB to transition to flight level 060 QNH is 1030 Hapag Lloyd 999. Yeah, that is a bit stupido because I need to get to 2,600. So I'm going to put this in and let the VNAV get onto the descent. And because I'm guessing that this has to do with we're not descending. Why are we not descending? Okay, level change. Because we're not really doing a typical flight, so it gave me the minimum altitude it would probably
apply. 999
apply.
QNH is 1030 cleared for the ILS approach to runway 27 with the LA2 transition at Niederrhein. Contact approach on 128.5. Good morning.
QNH is 1030 cleared for the ILS approach to runway 27 with the LAA2 transition. Approach on 128.5. Hapag Lloyd 999. Ah shit, that didn't work at all. QNH is 1030 cleared for to you know what? I'm doing the say it. Nope, that doesn't work either. Because there's this say it button which should normally help me. QNH is 1030 cleared for the ILS approach to runway 27 with the LAA transition approach on 128.5. Hapag Lloyd 999. So that doesn't work at all. I'm afraid. So we are already on the frequency. Approach Hapag-Lloyd 999 at 4,300.
Hey Pagloid 999er, good morning. Radar contact.
It had already switched.
Hey Pagloid 999er, QNH is 1030 at Niederrhein, contact tower on 129.4. Enjoy your morning.
QNH is 1030 tower on 129.4, Hapag-Lloyd 999. So, naja, that worked somewhat.
1,000 to go.
Tower, Hapag-Lloyd 999.
Hey Pagloid 999er, this is tower, go ahead.
Hapag-Lloyd 999, descending 2,600 feet.
Hey Pagloid 999er, good morning. Radar contact. Continue ILS to runway 27, call when established on final. Hey Pagloid 999er, slow to 250 knots or less. Hey Pagloid 999er, expedite speed reduction to 250 knots.
Wilco, Hapag-Lloyd 999. Yeah, I know we are a bit fast now, because things got a bit out of hand. That's the problem, you need to concentrate on a couple of things, so I got a bit out of touch now with the approach rhythm here. So we need to try and slow down.
2,500.
But I think it's nothing that we can't handle. But, and again, got the same problem again. The approach didn't catch on, so I need to take over again myself. So this is broken since this version of the Zibo. Unfortunately, I'm not happy about that. This is broken. This has always worked in 2.9 Echo, and now this is the third ILS approach that does not catch on to the ILS. And we were above, below the glide slope, so I think we were, maybe we weren't, but still, it just doesn't catch on. Yeah. So I need to do it myself now. Flaps 30.
1,000.
Hey Pagloid 999er, winds are 309er at 8 knots, cleared to land runway 27.
Clear to land runway 27, Hapag-Lloyd 999er. Now this is not a problem of the ATC program, this is a problem here of the Zibo and me. Something that the Zibo and me have to work out.
400. 300.
But I'm a little bit yeah, angry about that, because I had a really good working Zibo and now I'm having all these tantrums here. I guess I have to wait that 1130 comes out and we get a new version, or I dig out my old 29E again. Oh, hang on. Shouldn't talk.
40. 30. 20. 10.
Hey Pagloid 999er, exit runway when able.
Exit runway.
80 knots.
You basically tell it when you're clear of the active. Okay, I actually didn't set the auto brake, I think. Nah, doesn't matter. That wasn't a nice landing, doesn't matter. Because we're not here to test the Zibo and my landing capabilities. So as soon as we are off the runway, I need to tell it clear of the active. Cap needs to take over again, the steering tiller. So, landing lights off, taxi light on. And oops, taxi light on, and we put on the APU. And we turn off the stops. Back to steady. Are we already off the runway? I don't think we are, right? I think we need to go a little bit further. Yeah, we are almost still sticking to the runway.
Departure 127, 750,
Okay, parking brake. Clear of active Hapag Lloyd 909er.
Hey Pagloid 909er, welcome to Niederrhein. There is no ground control at this airport. Let us know if you need taxi instructions.
Hapag Lloyd 909er, request taxi instructions. Let's see.
909er taxi to runway 27 via taxiways Bravo, Sierra, Delta, hold short runway 09, and runway 27. Hey Pagloid 909er, clear to cross runway 27.
That's Felix. Okay. Hapag Lloyd 999 request a taxi to the gate.
good morning, Mr.
Hey Pagloid 909er, taxi to runway 27 via taxiways Bravo, Sierra, Delta, hold short runway 09, and runway 27.
Well, I would say...
Hey Pagloid 909er, clear to cross runway 27.
This wasn't exactly perfect. So, taxi instructions back to the gate without ground don't seem to work very well. Tower only provides us with taxi instructions that bring us to the runway. That's not helpful. So I guess I would need to test this on airports with all the frequencies, including the ground frequency. So I don't know. I don't know if this is exactly what it should be, but it can't be right. You know, I'm asking for a taxi to the gate. I have just arrived and it tries to bring me to the runway. I would say this is not correct. So there are still some things that are a bit weird and wonderful. And I guess I will need to find out about these peculiarities and just figure out how I can actually improve the ATC. Yeah, because I think it considers us ready for taking off again instead of having arrived or something. Well, anyway, I don't think I need to bore you now with our taxi back because this is basically it. Yeah. So, interesting program. As I say, I have some issues. For example, the program is basically dead when it comes to these things. It still does all the recognition stuff, and thank God it didn't crash on me. But all of that is stuck now, and I can't turn it off. I can't do anything. I can't clear it. I can't change anything. Yeah, that's a bit of a pity. Also, the map, you know, all this pulling it in and out thingy doesn't work. Oops. So, not exactly perfect. Yeah. So this is 2507. I got my demo mode was 2504 or something, which I got in the summer this year, and then I didn't have that much time to test it. So I just downloaded the latest release, which is 2507, 64-bit, and yeah, I don't know. Looks a little bit like we still have some issues. Mode active. Oh yeah, I actually, that's correct. I did not turn off the transponder, right? No, I didn't. Good. Okay.
80 Ray, contact run 1.705.
Yeah, now it's in standby. Oh yeah, you can click here and you can actually switch the transponder out. That's good to know.
Okay, that's okay. I relayed the information. Thank you, bye. Merci, bye.
Okay, let's stop here. No point continuing with the taxi. I quite like it. I will learn more about it now, trying to figure it out better, and then yeah, also going to read up on these issues that I have, because this is not the first time that happened to me. When I tested it this morning, I had similar issues. Normally there should be a map here, okay, and this is the button with which you can bring it in and out. So let's disconnect, see if that makes any difference. So it appears to be stuck somehow. So certain things just don't work anymore. Yeah. Well, I'll let you know. But so the basic impression I have from it is good. So I quite like it. Also works well with this XITC chatter stuff. And yeah, now I need to figure out why we're getting what we're getting. But I can see this being used for some longer flights instead of IVEO or VATSIM in some of my videos, for example. Okay, that's it. Then until next time.